Hi, I'm Bonnie Kemke. Welcome to my studio and welcome to Quilting on a Thread. I've rearranged my entire studio to place these two frames side by side so that I can walk through them with you and do a comparison of the two frames. Functionally, the original Cutie and the Cutie Breeze are very similar. They're practically identical. Operationally, they're very familiar with one another. Mechanically, there's quite a number of differences, and that's what we're going to cover today. First, let's go ahead and cover the similarities. As you can likely see, they're both tabletop frames. I have each of them sitting on a Husky workbench. Both frames are compatible with either a wheeled quilting machine, such as the Cunique 19 here on the original Cutie frame, or a number of domestic sewing machines, such as the Baby Lock Allegro here on the new Cutie Breeze. Now, to use a wheeled quilting machine on the Cutie frame or the Cutie Breeze, you remove the upper carriage and replace that carriage with the wheeled system. To put a domestic machine on your Cutie or your Cutie Breeze, you place the machine on the plate of the upper carriage and then secure it with the machine clips that are included. Both the Cutie and the Cutie Breeze allow you to move your machine vertically, either on the wheels integrated into the machine or on the wheels integrated in the upper carriage. You can also move the machines horizontally, and that is moving the lower carriage along the horizontal tracks that are the base. Now then, let's address the meat of this video, and that is the differences between our two frames. First thing of note is that many of the parts of the Cutie Breeze are integrated parts, which makes for a faster and simpler assembly of the Cutie Breeze than we experienced with the many parts of the Cutie frame, the original Cutie. Not that the original Cutie was difficult to assemble, it was just time consuming. So then let's discuss the base of the frame. The original Cutie is 48 inches wide from side to side. The Cutie Breeze is 51 inches from side to side. The front and back base and the tracks of the original Cutie came in two parts each, and they had to be assembled. The tracks were then screwed into the base, and the plastic of the tracks where the wheels ride were slipped into the groove created. The track and base of the Cutie Breeze are integrated, and they are one assembly each. So the integrated assembly of the front base and the integrated assembly of the rear base are one piece that you pull out of the box and it's ready to install. Additionally, on the Cutie Breeze, the front and back tracks have carriage stops that are screwed into the front and the back rails, one per rail, one on the right side for the front rail and one on the left side for the rear rail. The original Cutie really had no rail stops. The stop was the hard metal lip that your wheel would encounter. The front and back base and rails of the Cutie Breeze are slightly farther apart than those of the original Cutie. So next, let's address the side rail units. On the original Cutie, the side walls are attached to the front and rear base and rails by using little corner brackets and 4 screws per bracket. So there are 4 brackets, 4 screws per bracket, and all of those have to be assembled and squared up. On the Cutie Breeze, the front and rear base and rails are attached to the sidewall using integrated thumb screws that are already in your side rails. On the original Cutie, the carrels that hold the bungee clip, the little gray bungee clips that are stored here until they are being used to secure the sides of a quilt, are in between the 2 uprights of the side rail. Conversely, on the Cutie Breeze, those same carrel type structures are located behind the rear upright of the side walls, which gives you easy access to these carrels even when a quilt is loaded on the hoop. So the side rails, including the side walls, this has been completely redesigned for the Cutie Breeze. On the original Cutie, the side rail height adjustment is a numbered system on the uprights of the rail of the sidewall, and they're secured by these little gray clips that are oriented towards the inside of your frame. On the Cutie Breeze, again, the side rails have a numbered system, but the numbering system is now at the top instead of at the bottom. And this is a system that now has the rail, the clamps oriented towards the outside of the frame with a small square rod that inserts and stays within the upright structure itself. And this raises and lowers to give you the height adjustment. On the original Cutie, the depth of the side rails and therefore the positioning of the front rail is oriented by using 8 numbered slot positions, but they are infinitely adjustable along the entire rail, so long as the rail does not come out of the back upright. And these rails are secured by another clip that holds the rail in its position, again oriented towards the inside of the hoop. On the Cutie Breeze, you're again going to be using clips that will secure your rail, but these clips are separably loosened and adjusted along 3 static locations on the rail, and they on the side rail, and they are paired one with another. So if you use hole number 1 for your front upright, you would use hole number 4 for your rear upright. If you use hole number 2, you would use hole number 5. If you use hole number 3, you would use hole number 6. These holes are paired one with another. And once you situate them, then you can drop your side rails onto your side walls and secure them with this magnetic knob. On the original Cutie, the front rail was secured to the side rails using these corner caps that came separate, and you inserted 3 screws to secure the corner caps to the side rail and the front rail, creating the integrated rail system. On the Cutie Breeze, this corner cap comes pre-assembled to the side rail, and you simply insert the front rail and screw in 1 screw to secure the front rail to the integrated rail system.
On the Cutie, the take-up rail is laid into the rear uprights and secured with these plastic caps.
On the Cutie Breeze, the back rail the take-up rail is inserted through a hole on the right side, drawn back into a hole on the left side of the uprights, and then secured using this knob.
Next, let's discuss the lower carriages.
Lower carriages between the original Cutie and the Cutie Breeze have several minor configuration changes. These changes include how they are manufactured and the actual height of the lower carriage itself. On the Cutie Breeze, the brachure that holds the two tracks together is significantly higher than the brachure on the original Cutie. Wheel systems between the two frames, between the original Cutie and the Cutie Breeze, are slightly different. On the original Cutie, the wheel structures are an assembly including a shoulder and the wheels on either side of the shoulder. And those are mounted as a single unit onto both the lower and upper carriages. On the Cutie Breeze, that shoulder has been separated so that you have a outside shoulder and an inside shoulder that are attached separately to the carriages. And so one will be inserted on the outside of the carriage, and one will be attached on the outside of the carriage, and one will be attached on the inside of the carriage. You have the same wheel depth and the same wheel breadth, meaning the spread between the two wheels. They're just assembled differently. Original Cutie lower carriage is approximately 30 inches, and the width is approximately 19 inches between the two wheels. The length of the lower carriage on the Cutie Breeze is 29.5 inches, and the span between the two wheels is 20 inches. Because of the slight change in the span between the two rails, between the front and rear rails on the Cutie and the Cutie Breeze, the lower carriages are not interchangeable. They won't fit the rails. Move on and discuss the upper rail. On the original Cutie, the upper rail had integrated handlebars that were inserted into the base of the upper carriage. In addition, the upper carriage is manufactured such that there's a void in the center, and underneath we find these two plastic sets of channels, one on the front and one on the rear, and this gives you the ability to move the handles from the front of the carriage to the rear of the carriage. On the Cutie Breeze, the base of the upper carriage is a solid piece of metal. There's no void within it. The handlebars are mounted to the rear of the upper carriage, and they come up the back, over the top, and drop into the front so that your handles for the carriage are in the front. And if you want to pantograph and you use the rear handles, there are rubber handles here at the rear of the handlebar assembly on the upper carriage. Additionally, there's a bridge between the two handles at the top of their arc, and this bridge has a lot of useful little storage locations. Bobbins, you can use, there's magnets in here to hold pins, there are holes here to hold your seam ripper, a pair of snips, and various other items that you might find useful while quilting. Both upper carriages have channels carved into them where the machine clips insert and then can be moved in to secure your domestic machine so that it doesn't move around on the carriage. The original Cutie, the length of the base plate is approximately 20 inches. On the Cutie Breeze, the base plate is approximately 23 inches, giving you a little bit more space for a domestic machine. Despite the differences between the two upper carriages, they are interchangeable. So you could, physically, you could put the upper carriage on the lower carriage of the Cutie Breeze, and you could take the upper carriage of the Cutie Breeze and put it on the lower carriage of the original Cutie. Now we get to probably the second most important change between the two Cuties. The original Cutie has these integrated elastic straps that we use to secure the quilt body on both the front rail and the rear rail. Those do not exist on the Cutie Breeze. Additionally, the original Cutie rail depth, the diameter side to side, is 6/8 of an inch, while on the Cutie Breeze, the depth, the diameter of the rail is 5/8 of an inch. Now, that 1/8 of an inch difference doesn't sound like a lot, but it's enough. It's enough to make the clips incompatible between the two systems. The clips on the Cutie can be used on the Cutie Breeze, but they won't have the locking capability. So they're really not good for quilting with them, but there might be a use in rehooping. The clips from the Cutie Breeze cannot be inserted onto the rails of the original Cutie without a great deal of difficulty. Both the original Cutie and the Cutie Breeze have the same complement of numbers of clips. There are 2 front rail clips on both the original Cutie and the Cutie Breeze, but you'll see there's a significant change in the length of those 2 clips. There are 3 clips for the back rail of the original Cutie and the Cutie Breeze, but again, you'll see there's a significant difference in the length of those clips. And there are 2 side clips for both systems, and they're pretty much the same length. On the original Cutie, there's a C-clip integrated with each of the blue clips for the Cutie, for the original Cutie. On the Cutie Breeze, that C-clip does not exist. That C-clip was used to clip the buckle of the elastics that don't exist on the Cutie Breeze. On the original Cutie, all of the clips, except for the 3 clips for the back, are ribbed to allow for ratcheting of the clip on the rail. And that's used to tighten up the quilt that you have hooped. On the Cutie Breeze, all of the clips have that ratcheting feature, although it's probably not very wise to ratchet the rear of your quilt, because once you line your quilt up to the rear, you're using that as the point to begin your quilting. And if you were to ratchet that, you could take as much as a 1/2 inch back up under your rail, leaving you less room than you intended to have for your zone that you're quilting in. On the original Cutie, you can leave one of the back clips in place, and you can use that to reposition your quilt when rehooping. And that slides easily enough. All you have to do is make sure to pull equally on each side of the clip. On the Cutie Breeze, that clip is just too tight. You can see that it's almost impossible to move. The manual, the assembly manual, still tells you that you can use this to help readjust, but I've not been able to do it. On the new Cutie Breeze, the clips fit so snugly that the clips just will not allow you to use the clip to pull the quilt along the rail. However, if you happen to own both the Cutie and the Cutie Breeze, or are willing to purchase the side clips for the Cutie Breeze, the original Cutie Breeze, you can use one of the side clips to secure your quilt momentarily and use that side clip to readjust your quilt for rehooping. This clip will be much looser on this rail than it would be on the original Cutie, but this can be helpful if you have access to the side clips. On the Cutie Breeze, the clips that go on the back have this channel. It's not quite a C-clip that we saw on the original Cutie, but this channel is used to allow us to insert the coils that replace the functionality of the elastic clips on the original Cutie. And that coil slips into that ridge. We slip our quilt body that we're working on into that clip, and that will hold your quilt secure and out of the way of your presser foot on the Cutie Breeze. Additionally, I have found that if you will take this clip and stretch it around and try to rest it on the bottom of the blue clip, then you reserve some of the space that is lost to the clip itself. That clip can take up to about 2 inches of space off the back of your quilt. Additionally, on the Cutie Breeze, the elastics of the front rail have been replaced by another functioning perfect tool, and that is the mini quilt clips. To get your quilt body up off of the ground or just out of your way so that you can use a seat while quilting, you can simply take these blue clips and pick up the excess body of your quilt and clip it with the mini quilt clips onto the clip of the blue clip securing the hoop of your frame of your quilt. Additionally, I mean, if one is not enough, you can roll that and fan it several times and continue securing it. And this clip can handle quite a few layers of quilting. So you can roll this up pretty tight. I mean, many, many layers, and just clip that blue clip in place. So using that mini blue clip, we control the as yet unquilted portion of our quilt sandwich, keeping it off the floor and out of the way of our knees while we're quilting. Now, that's a lot of information because there are a lot of differences between these two frames. But I hope I've given you enough information to sufficiently define for yourself whether you are more suited for the original Cutie or for the new Cutie Breeze. I hope this has helped you in your journey as you quilt, and I hope to see you again here on Quilting on a Thread.